For example, the average person is on their phone 3 hours and 15 minutes a day, or about a full month and a half every year. Over the past decade, the number of teens with mental health disorders has more than doubled. The wellness market is worth $4.5 trillion and only set to increase. And finally, in late 2019, a mobile app called #selfcare surpassed 2 million downloads, all without any kind of formal marketing campaign, any advertising, based on an idea from someone with no industry experience, and using an untested design theory.
And so forth.
So,
the focus is always about
how
the
on
tech,
earth did that happen?
but we believe we have to disrupt
I met Brie
the
Code
space
about
to
5 years
minds,
ago.
and not
I was an editor at a
essentially
luxury
only
car
technical.
magazine, and I was looking for somebody to profile
To
from the
do
world
this,
of tech.
we have
At the
been
time, Brie
trying
worked
to
at
create
Ubisoft in
an
Montreal
ideology and a
on the
methodology
Assassin's
called
Creed
media,
franchise.
which blends
Games
together
you probably
user
know
interaction,
and
lifestyle
probably play.
branding, and also gamification,
I
game
didn't
design
play
and so
them,
forth.
but I did know
So,
them, and I
I
knew they
happened
were
to
a pretty big deal, and
implement
that
this with
Brie
music,
was a
Drexler
pretty
through
big
finance,
deal.
Harry through
There was just one problem.
fashion, and Elena,
Brie
if
was
she
about
joins,
to quit
she
her
is
job.
building gaming
She told me
communities
she
as
was going to
well
pack up her
in Ukraine.
things and travel the
So,
world, speaking at games
what we have
conferences, that she was going to
described
start her own
and
studio, creating
is
games for
social
people
media-driven
whose voices were missing from the
platforms
mainstream.
where users use gamified behaviors
As
to
it turns
express
out,
themselves
I
through
was
content.
one of those people.
And what this
Because,
means
well,
is
she was trying to
essentially
figure out what was
how
missing from
can you
games.
use the
I was
magic
trying to
of
figure out
games,
how to live
game
with my mobile
design,
phone,
user
this
interaction, and so
thing
forth,
in my pocket
to
that I
create a
couldn't stop
real-life
checking,
value out
even though every time I did, it made me feel kind of terrible.
a company or an industry
Somehow,
outside of our
the
industry
solution to both
would,
our
for example,
problems
be
was the
Tinder,
same.
like dating.
A new
What
kind
it
of
is that
experience
they
for
implement
your mobile phone.
gamification in a game that you all know, that is
Because
dating.
self-care isn't quite a game
You find someone
or a personal
on the
assistant.
internet
It's something completely new, a new category.
and then the game
An
is
AI
to meet
companion
the
that's a
person
bit
in real
like
life.
a friend
So there's a
inside
real
your
life value
phone.
out of this digital
The concept
experience.
appears
And what we are trying
deceptively
to
simple.
do
You open up the app to find yourself in bed as you interact with objects around the room,
digital world,
petting your
where this
cat,
actually
sorting your
takes place
laundry,
in most
playing
of the
with
industry.
bubbles.
So,
The sun rises and
Elena has
hopefully
not
so do your
joined yet,
spirits.
and
You
I'm
get
trying to make a
positive
sense of the
messages,
context why we're all
you
here.
can't
Right?
fail,
Yes,
and
you
definitely
are here.
can't die. You
Elena,
might
hi.
only use it for 3 to 5
Yeah,
minutes
hi.
and then put your phone
So,
away. And that actually means it's working just as intended.
Yes, I hear you.
Of course, when we explain the concept
Welcome.
to people
So,
who are used to
to give
video
a
games, they
context
all
why we're
want
all
to know
here
the
and
same
why we
thing.
believe
It
in this
might be
post-digital
exactly
world,
what you're asking yourself
mixed
right
with
now.
gamification, user interaction, and
How do I
lifestyle
get
branding,
out of bed?
is
Or
that we
how do I
believe
escape
this
the room?
concept of media
Totally
flows through other
understandable
industries
if
as
you're
well,
used to traditional game design.
but only game.
But
Only
I
fashion,
wasn't, so
only
you don't.
finance, only music,
Your friend
and
doesn't get out
we
of bed
believe
and they
we
don't
can
escape the room.
enable
Because
gaming
for
communities,
someone who wishes
like
they could
yours,
stay in
to build
bed
an
all day,
ecosystem
the room
of game
is the
developers,
escape.
people that know game design and you
The secret
know the
to
magic of
self-care's
gaming,
design and
to use
success,
that
including
methodology
being named an Apple App of the
and
Year,
transfer it
really
to other
lies in a
industries as
theory
well.
Brie wanted to test out.
To engage
It's a radical
with the user
theory. It
in a more
is,
intimate
as they
way.
say in
So
Silicon Valley,
what the research
disruptive.
has been doing with Howdoo,
It just
they
happens
use
to look
finance,
very
the
soft
gamified
and very
finance,
soothing
to make this
and
real
pastel
value.
pink and blue.
What
Most
Harry
games,
does in
maybe all
fashion
games, are based
that
on the
makes
reigning
real
theory
value
about how
out of a
humans
digital
react to
experience in
stress.
fashion.
First
And what
introduced in
Elena
1915.
Lobova has been doing is that
Fight
she has
or
been
flight.
creating this ecosystem
The idea is that in the
Ukraine
face of
called
danger,
Activity,
your body prepares to fight the
where it
monster
basically
or to run
takes the
away.
whole value
Your heart
chain of
races,
the
your
gaming
breathing
industry
quickens, your
to make an
sympathetic
ecosystem
nervous
out of it.
system triggers
So
an
to
adrenaline
try to fit
release
this all
followed
into
by
40 minutes because
dopamine,
I
which
don't think
feels
I have the
great.
time to talk more.
The threat
I just
can be real
want to
or it can
invite
be imagined.
Elena
It can
to the
be
panel
a bear
to
attack
basically talk
or it
about
can
the
be an
keyword
email
terms
from
and
work.
what she has been doing for the past
So
years.
it's really not difficult to see how this can be used across game design,
Thank you so
across
much.
app design,
And I will
across
take
social
over.
media,
I'm Elena,
definitely.
and I'm a founder of
Bright
Achievers
lights,
Hub.
fast-paced
It's a
music,
platform
pop-ups,
for
that sort of
independent
thing.
game developers. We connect them to
Self-care
investors,
is built
mentors,
around a
publishers
different,
from all around the
understudied
world.
stress
So
response to
it's
danger.
basically not only in
One that was
Ukraine. I'm
only
originally
refined by
from Ukraine and I'm
researchers
in Ukraine
in the
now,
year
so hi from
2000.
Kiev. but it's an international
like fight or
platform,
flight,
so we work
it's a
with them
physiological
all around.
response to a threat.
And
but instead of staying
so
to
as you
fight
know,
or
in
getting
game
ready to
development
run,
industry, there are the
it makes you
creators of
want to
content,
protect
and
loved ones
there are
and seek
the
out allies
ones
for
who
mutual
distribute the
defense,
content,
building
publishers,
communities
investors, and so on.
and cooperating
For
with neighbors,
young
basically.
independent
And
developers,
rather
they
than
usually
being
think
tied
that
to
game
adrenaline,
development,
there's
creating a
evidence
game,
it's fueled
is
by
an art in the
oxytocin,
first place.
sometimes known
But
as the
they
love
usually
hormone,
forget that it's
because people release it
also
when they're
business,
cuddling with a
and
loved
they
one
need to
or
make
even
money
holding a
out of
baby.
it. So what we do,
In practice,
we help
this might
these
look like
guys
a child
concentrate
being bullied at
on
school
the
who
creative
asks
side of
their
things
friends to walk them
and
home,
don't think
or
about the
a stressed
business
out
side
new
of things.
parent
We take over
who
the
joins a
business
family
side.
group,
We take
or
over
a computer game
negotiation,
with no lives,
pitching
no
to
timer, and
publishers,
that really
pitching to
encourages
investors,
exploring above
fundraising,
all else.
and so on. Before
In the
that,
world of
I
true
was
love,
working in a
someone
game
feeling
development
threatened or
outsourcing
anxious might
company,
open up hashtag
and this is how
self-care
I got
to write about
connected
it in
to a
their
lot of
journal,
companies
or
from
to
different
pet their cat
countries
until
in
it
game
purrs,
development. And
to
at
care
some
for their
point, I
virtual
saw
friend
that
until they feel their friend
there is
caring for them
nothing
right back.
to let these companies
And
work with
here's
each
where I
other,
admit
find
that
each
as much
other.
as I wanted
Game
a space to
developers
escape
usually
inside my
quite
phone,
like shy
I
guys,
was
and
totally
they don't
skeptical
travel a lot
about
to the
how self-care might
conferences,
actually work
and
in
sometimes
practice.
they
I have a
just
background in marketing, so that side of
even
me had to ask. Really?
like actively
No
promote the games
levels,
they've been working
no
with. Sometimes they don't
challenges to
even
beat,
tell other people that they
no pop-ups asking you to rate and review. I mean, these seemed like pretty basic, even neutral
so
design
they could
elements.
be in a safe place where they can share their
really
games, they
stress
can
people out for us to use
communicate
them
with the
too.
other developers, they can get
As proof,
advice
I
from
mentioned a word
mentors,
game I use
they
to help me
can
relax
get,
before bed,
they can
and
talk
on the
to
bus ride to
publishers,
work.
they can talk
One
to
that seemed
investors.
pretty
And
effective.
by the way, we
Except
also make
it totally
online
wasn't.
conferences like
Because
this
when I
panel,
actually paid attention to this
which
totally
allows
innocent app
developers
with
to
simple
talk
puzzles
to
and
publishers
pictures of
and
waterfalls
investors
and
without
forests,
leaving the
it became
comfort of
clear
their
it
own
was
home,
built on a traditional
as
fight
we
or
all
flight
do
design
when we,
curve,
for example,
going from
communicate in
easy to
social
hard
networks,
and
when we
counting
play
on this
games with the
rising
other people,
tension to
multiplayer
keep you
games.
playing.
We want to
If I
still be
couldn't get the
connected
last word on a
to the
level,
other
I would be
people.
in a
We want to
bad
be
mood
connected to
all
the world,
day.
but
If someone
not always we are
interrupted me
able
while
to
I was
leave
playing on my
the
lunch
place
break,
where we
I
are.
totally snapped at them,
So
even if it was
this
my
is how we
boss.
use media
I
to
wasn't being
connect
chased by
all of these
monsters,
companies and all
I
of these
wasn't
guys.
shooting
We're also
enemies,
building a
but
platform,
I was
a real
stressed out
platform where
by
they
design.
can interact with
And
each other
the whole
and get
time, I thought
feedback
I was
from
relaxing.
mentors, because it's really important
So,
to
why
show your
don't we
game to
know more about
somebody who
tending
has
to friends
already been
theory?
there, who has already gone
Well,
through
because for
all
one,
these
it's largely associated
pitfalls,
with
and
women,
can
though
give
not
you an
exclusively
example
and
of
not all
how
the
to make
time
things
and
right
not
and
in
how
every
to not
situation.
make things right.
But we do
So
know that
we
scientific studies tend to study
attract
one
a
type
lot
of
of
person,
games
men.
industry professionals
Actually, one
in
type
different
of man,
fields who can give
reference
feedback to these
man, a
developers, who
Caucasian
can
male,
encourage them
age
through
25 to
this
30, who
platform.
weighs
And
about
this
70
is how I
kilograms.
believe
It's not that
we can help
it's
build
not
a
that
global
scientists are
ecosystem of
consciously
gaming
setting out to
and
ignore over 4
help
billion
developers,
people.
no matter
They're
where they
just
are,
doing things how they've
find
always been
funding,
done.
find a
For
publisher, find
efficiency,
a
to save
mentor who
money,
can help
even
them
to
go
avoid
through
lawsuits.
their first
They
game
also use
development
male
process.
rats.
Hi, Pakistan.
Medical studies on heart disease that only use men as subjects mean heart attacks are misdiagnosed in women half the time.
Islamabad in 2008.
There are also less deadly effects
So,
to
thank you,
reference men
Bill.
that still
I
have wide-ranging
wanted to
consequences.
just quickly recap
And these are
what's
also
been
things
said,
that might impact
because
your work, the work you're doing today and the
Elena
work you're doing in the
provides with the
future.
Achievers Hub
For example,
is something
virtual
that
reality
I, as a
headsets that make a lot
user,
of people really
benefit
nauseous.
from. So
Facial
I
recognition
am looking
software
at some of the
calibrated
games
for
that are
pale
being
skin,
promoted on Achievers
car
Hub,
navigation
and my
apps that
company's
have trouble
investing in them.
recognizing certain
With
voices,
Drexler,
and none of these have to be
his
intentional,
ideas
let alone
to give
malicious, to be real problems.
understanding
They just
of
mean that
really
some voices
how
are
a
being
new
left out of the
lifestyle
discussion.
brand can be created. Obviously,
Here's the good
using
news.
music, which is something that
There
we're
are
all very
huge
familiar
opportunities
with
for
and
these
happy
missing
with,
voices,
is an excellent
and they're only going
example
to grow
of really how
because
we can
companies
bring
are waking
people
up to the
together
idea
through something
that
like what
diversity
Elaine
isn't just a
is
buzzword.
doing,
It
but
is
also
essential
how we can
to
get down
innovation,
to the
to
specifics
ethics,
with How
and
can
to
you make
success.
someone really feel
And it
like
has to be
they're
there
somewhere
from
else? They're
day
really
one,
enjoying this game
not in a focus group
But there
right
is
before you
also
ship.
some
It has to be
actual
on your team.
benefits to them as
To
a
prevent
person.
PR disasters, to spot valuable overlooked markets,
I think this is
and
where
yes,
it's useful
to
to talk
save
about
lives.
numbers.
Companies
5
also
billion
recognize
hours
that
are
diversity
spent
comes in many
every
forms,
day
inherent
by
and
what we call
acquired,
Generation
like
Z.
age, gender, race,
So
other
basically
types of
everyone that's
jobs
old
you've
enough to
had,
be my grandchild.
even the other
And
cities you've lived
they
in before
are
working at your current position.
spending
In my
this
case, I was lucky
time
enough to have my lack of
mostly
experience
on
in the
them
games industry
PCs. Now,
recognized as a potential
5
source
billion
of strength for the
hours,
work
and this
that we
is
were
only
doing.
one demographic. This is not the
I
whole
don't
world.
instinctively
This is
know
just
where to click to
Generation
collapse a window on a screen.
So
I have
Generation
no
Z
clue
essentially
what the colors,
is really
what the
discussed
letters
as
on a
being
color
somebody
slider
who's
mean,
21
even though the rest of my team
to
does.
15
So I'm the
years
one
old.
who points out to them that our
So
audience might not know
that
either.
demographic.
And in
is
that way,
incredible.
I'm not so different from the
What I
markets
do
that we're
to help me
targeting with
understand, because you
hashtag
say
self-care,
billions, and
who might be
it doesn't
resistant
mean anything.
to traditional game
To give us an
design
idea
and
how
to
long
traditional
that is.
games.
There aren't
The
a
tween
million
who just got their
minutes in a
first
year.
mobile phone,
So can you imagine
the busy
5
professional
billion
who doesn't want to watch a
hours
lot of
are
long
spent
tutorials
every
before they can
day
enjoy the app they
by
downloaded.
consumers.
So
Now,
maybe you're taking
interesting
care of an
thing
aging
is
parent
that
and
all
can
of
see
these
firsthand the
consumers
trouble they have using a
are
standard
not
touchscreen
being
or a standard menu.
rewarded
Maybe
in
you've
terms
just had a
of
newborn
cash
baby
that can
and
be
suddenly
spent in
you
a
have a
shop
great idea for a parenting
for
app
their
that
activity.
never would have occurred to you before.
So
Maybe you wouldn't have even
I'll give you
understood
an
the point
example.
of it before.
I
Being
have
a
a
caretaker,
17-year-old daughter,
speaking
and
multiple
so
languages,
she
living with a
has
disability,
been given an
anything
email
that makes
from
you unique
Pinterest
can be a
saying, "Thank you so
superpower
much for
in a
reaching the
world that's been
milestone
tailored
of
to one kind of customer for far
500,000
too long."
pictures." Which,
Right
you know,
now,
I
there are
understand why
potential
she doesn't
audiences
stop.
that avoid games
But the
completely
point is
because
that
they assume
all
they all
she
look
got for that
and they all feel the
was
same.
an email saying,
Maybe
"Thanks
you
very
can be the
much."
one
Well,
who makes
obviously,
the
what does
games you
Pinterest
wish
allow?
existed
Well, they've
that
got
can also
500,000
transform
images
their
now.
lives. There are game studios that have been doing things the same
Why
way for
isn't she
decades,
being
trying to repeat
rewarded
a previous
in some other
success.
way?
Maybe
Or if
you
we
can
take the
open up new
example of YouTube,
worlds and new
you know,
markets to them.
I'm a terrible addict
Above
to
all,
YouTube.
there
I
are
freely
companies in
admit that.
tech and
If
wellness
anyone's aware of
desperate to
YouTube
connect with
Anonymous,
clients
where you
around
can
the
get
globe
help,
in
please
creative
send me
new
details
ways.
afterwards.
Maybe you
But
can
the
be the
thing is,
one to
every time
show
I'm
them
watching
what games
something
can
on
really
YouTube,
mean
I'm not getting
and do for
anything
people.
out of it from a money point
You
of
have
view.
more
I'm being
power than you
entertained.
think to change the world. Whether you're
But
starting
I
with a
am
small
helping
idea or
YouTube
taking a
itself because I
huge
have to watch
risk.
some advert first.
I'm just asking
But
for
what
you
is
to
it that
consider what
would
kind of world
actually
you want to live in
deliver
before you
something
start
that would
to
be of
build it.
actual benefit
Thank you. That's all.
to the consumer as well as the content provider? And this is really where Howdoo is positioning itself differently.
Thank you so much, Eve.
We
We loved your talk,
believe
and
that all
we are.
the emphasis needs
It
to
is me.
be on the
We
content
it's for the
provider
student.
as
So we
well
loved your
as
talk and
the
all
consumer.
the ideas
So
you have
what that
given. I
means
personally
in
wanted to
simple
ask
terms
one of
is
my question
every time
from you,
someone
and
uploads some
then I want to
content,
pass it to the
they should
audience
obviously
if
be
anybody else
rewarded
wants to ask
immediately
any
with
question. So my question from you
something
is,
to be
it's my personal experience. Like
and the
when I
same
was
with the
young, I
consumer.
used to play a lot of
So
games with a lot of violence, like
let's
Call
give
of
an
Duty and
example.
shooting games. These kind of
So let's take
games for
something
like
easy.
all
So
my
let's
young
playing
livelihood. And I
the
think after
tokens
certain
that
time,
Howdoo
I started
provides
to
are clicking
less
up
liking
and
them,
up and up
and
and
then
up,
eventually
which they can turn
I started
into
finding that like these
cash
games have
immediately.
started inducing
Now,
anxiety in
Fortnite
me.
has its
Like
own
for
money. It
example, if
has
I'm unable to
V-Bucks,
shoot and
which you
there's
can
too many
spend
people
on
are
different
shooting me, and
outfits
I
and guns and
start
things within the
panicking, and I
game.
just
You
would
can
start
never turn them
like
into
leaving
money.
the game
You
and
can
getting
pay
out of it.
money to get
And
V-Bucks.
I
You can never
sometimes
turn the
wonder like how
V-Bucks
come I
into
was like the
cash.
person who has played the Call of
We
Duty
think
kind of
that's
a game and the
unfair.
shooting games
So,
all her life,
by
and
all
now
means,
if I
play
play like
Fortnite and we'll
even
pay
a
you.
co-op game with my
So,
husband, and I realize
the
where there is
idea
like a
is that
lot of
what
shooting
people are able
involved
to
and there is a
do
lot of
is
replaying involved, I just get
we
so
can put
frustrated
the
and I just want to
emphasis
just
not
throw it
on the
away. So
platform,
is
but
this
on the
has anything
content.
to do with
I
your
mean, if you
age?
think of
Is there
Twitch,
has
what
anything to
is
do
Twitch
with
worth?
something
well,
to like, you know,
there's varying
maybe
ideas.
change by nature,
But
or
ultimately,
I
if
really wondered,
those
like I never
content
find this answer,
providers go
because like
somewhere
at this
else,
point I would love
what
to
is it
play
worth?
like
Its
true loves,
assets?
like self-care,
Hardly
and I would
anything.
love to play a games which is like with a
Its
very
value is
like, you
all
know, low
on
pace, and
the
not, which
content
is not
provider.
really
So we
fast and does not
feel
require too
that the
many action
content
at a time. So that's my question.
provider should be
So
more
that's really
generously
interesting,
rewarded.
because we
I'm on
work with
Twitch, you know,
a
and
developmental
I've got about 300
psychologist. She
subscribers,
works
and,
out of
it's all very nice,
Amsterdam, the
that have been cash for me.
GEMH lab,
But
and she
the
works
reality is
specifically
that
with
I only get
adolescents
50% of
who
what people give me, which is very generous of them.
kind of developing their sense of
And I can
self,
only
and
cash it in at
she
certain
works with them
times.
in games and
Well,
how they
with
react to them.
Howdoo, what we're going to do is
Thinking
put
about
no emphasis
like fight
on
or flight
the
and
platform
tend and befriend,
Howdoo,
and
but
what
all the
stresses
emphasis
you
on the
out,
content
and
provider.
what sort of
So if I was
fulfills
doing
you. It is
exactly
really
the same
interesting. I don't
thing
have a
and had
solid
exactly the
scientific
same
answer
number
for
of
when we make that
people
change. I can
watching
tell you
me on Howdoo,
anecdotally that
the difference would
I
be,
feel like your
one, I would
experience is
earn more
really
money
common, if
because
not
we
with
give
games. People who
90%
used to love horror
of
movies,
all of the
I feel like a lot of my
subscription
friends, once
fees
they
to
hit
the
their
content provider.
20s and 30s, they just
Also,
can't
any
handle it anymore.
adverts
And I do wonder if part of it is biological, perhaps
that I
something
put
that's pushing
on
you to
are
community building
controlled
and family
by,
building.
obviously you're interested in
And
monetization,
part
they
of
want to
it,
have
again, this is
control over
anecdotal,
the
I wonder
advertising
if part of it is
types
simply life
that are on their
experience,
channels.
that
And
everything
also,
is
of
so
course, they
theoretical
like
when
the
you're a
idea of all
child,
the
and then
content
when you
being in
actually
one
have
place.
more
So
experience to tie
there I
things to,
am, I'm
either
doing
through
my
the news or
streaming, and
through
at the
your own
moment, the only
personal
way I
experiences.
reward my
After
subscribers
that,
is I'm
perhaps
able
they
to
just
give them,
don't,
you know,
it
little
doesn't hold the
emotes
same
or
appeal as it did
gifts
before.
that's
But
unique to
I
my
think I'm
channel
actually
today.
going to look into this right after
That's
this
something.
conference,
But what will happen
because that's a
now
really interesting
is you want
idea.
them to come
I
onto a
mentioned before
channel
that
where,
tend
as they're
and
watching,
befriend, it's
they're
not just for
earning
women, and it's
tokens,
not in
which
every
can
single
immediately
situation.
be turned into
But
cash.
I do
Now,
wonder if there is
cash
a
is in
curve
two forms.
throughout your
It
life
is,
that you start
first
to
of all,
experience it that you
virtual.
didn't as
So
an
you
adolescent.
can have the money
So
to
thank you for
use
the question.
within
I will be
the
looking into it.
platform. But that's a bit
All right.
boring, to be honest, and everyone does that.
Does anyone
So
have
what we do is you also turn it into actually your currency. So for me, that would be pounds. For others, it would be dollars.
I think I want to add a
So
little bit to what
the point is you
Sadia
have
had asked,
complete control
because I
over
experienced that
your
to a
content,
minor level, I
and
guess.
as a
I
consumer,
used to play a
rather
lot
than
of
just
these
enjoying being
you can
entertained,
call
you're now
massive
going to be
multiplayer online
paid
games,
to be
but
entertained.
eventually I got out
Because of
because
course,
they
the
were stressing me out,
consumer is of value
and
to
I
us
considered
because
them to be the ones that end a match. So somehow
so what we are
the
hoping to
competitiveness
do
is
is
gone from
start
there,
the ball
and suddenly you
rolling
don't
with
feel
this
this
so that people can
anxiety that,
really,
oh my god,
really
I need to
benefit
perform better, I'm not
from
getting
being
as many
content
kills and
providers
as much
and
score as my
consumers.
teammates.
And what I'm
So
personally
yeah,
excited about is,
it
imagine
happened
this, you do
as
a
well.
That's really
stream
interesting,
and
because
you are
if I don't
teaching
know what the
people a
deal
new
is with
language,
Instagram over
or
there,
you are
but
teaching
Instagram
people
in
a new
Canada
form of education
started
of some
hiding
kind.
likes.
Now,
So
for the
you would
first
post
time,
stuff,
the
and I
student
think
will
you
also
could check
be
your likes, but
rewarded.
no one else could see them. And it
So they'll
took
be
away
paid
this
to
huge
learn.
element
Now
that
think
was
about that.
making people feel
The
bad and
opportunity
making
for
people
people
compete.
to be paid
But it
to
was,
learn.
they specifically said they were
The
doing
immense
it in
opportunities that
part
could
to
come from that
de-stress
would
people,
be,
because they
I'm
knew
really
that
excited
that was
about where
created in the
this
same
could go.
way a scoreboard might
It's
be,
so exciting,
and
I
it
don't
was
know where it's
producing a
going to
lot
go.
of the same
You get
effects.
the idea. We can really
So
now
yeah, that's interesting that that sort of works across
a
different
new
platforms.
lifestyle brand
Yeah, okay.
from
Thank you so
being
much
able to really enable
for
people to
for
gamify, if you like, normal lifestyle activities.
okay. Thank you
And
so
then
much
from
for
that, they'll be able to not only
talking
benefit themselves, but of course, the
at
content
GEC,
providers will be able to, at
and
last, genuinely
bye.
be able to have
Thank you so much for having me.
streaming
I wish I could be
education
there,
as a
and in the future
full-time
we will.
profession
Thank you.
where they'll be
In the future.
decently paid,
Bye.
and
Bye
they
bye.
won't have to work every single day of the week. The biggest problem that these streaming channels have at the moment
I am
is
looking
their
for the
streamers are starting to die out from fatigue because they're on every day, 12
Yes,
to
Usman.
14 hours a day.
वो
Well, the
end
reason they do that is because they're petrified of losing their viewers because there's so much competition. That's fair enough. But with this new means of people being rewarded for watching you, as well as you for putting up the content, maybe people will get their weekends back, who knows? But just as a quick overview, what we really want to do is say to everyone involved in the audience there, really think about how we can help benefit the world and mankind by enabling everyone to benefit from the revenue that's being generated and shared online. Because if we do that, there'll be so many opportunities for where things can be improved, so that anyone who has access to the internet will have an opportunity to generate more revenue. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to hearing what Harry's got to say.
Thank you.
Okay, right. So I'll follow straight on then from Richard there. And firstly, Assalamu alaikum to everyone there in Islamabad, and congratulations on your, I believe it's your 4th Games Merge conference. So it's good for us to be with you for that. And just to round off what the other panel members have said, so Siggy working on putting the human first and the user first in this, in creating, consuming content online, and thinking of it not solely in terms of the digital, the technology, and a purely tech-centric focus. I think that's a very important point. I think Elena touched on how can the content creators or the games developers specifically, in her case, how can they best optimize their use of time and create the best content and be rewarded for it. And then Richard, as well as, I can follow directly on from what Richard is saying about it's balancing our real and digital life. We're all in the modern world juggling a real and a digital life at the moment. And as Richard has touched on, you know, and I think Howdoo have addressed this in a very interesting way about rewards, where your rewards come from in your digital life as they do in your real life, and trying to find a parallel or something that's a bit more fair to the user in the digital realm. For our part, and for Sideways Tiger, which is our firm, my name is Harry Aslam. So I'm very interested to share with you guys something that's relevant to you, and how, maybe to round off from the other speakers, what's actionable, what's relevant, and what you can, what value you can get from hearing this from us. So my background is in the textile industry. So like Richard, I know Pakistan quite well. I've been actually many times. So, you know, I kind of have some familiarity with Pakistan. And because we're in the fashion industry, so we're addressing the concept of the real world identity and the digital identity, and the emergence of these parallel identities, and the importance of your avatar. For example, in a game playing environment, the avatar is crucial. And the styling and aesthetics, as the example Richard gave, the most popular example, Fortnite, the skins, the dances, the memes, as Siggy goes, you know, as Siggy focuses on the music, these cultural references are now coming from the digital world and the digital experience. So fashion is following that. So our focus is very much on how to help people develop a sense of style and an ability to express themselves through fashion in that digital world. So this is the panel we collaborate in this area. And I'd like to make it relevant to all of you today by saying, as Pakistan is a major powerhouse in exporting garments, fashion products, branded sporting goods, you know, you've got all the production. I've been to Karachi and Sialkot and all these places where you've got a lot of really impressive large-scale production, globally significant in denim products, in jeans, for example. Those are physical products, and Pakistan is making an impact there. And the fashion design process is still fairly traditional, and this is, my background is in the traditional world of fashion. But if you consider that we're living so much of our lives in the digital world now, and our avatars are present, representing us in our digital life, the styling and the development, the fashion design that goes on for our digital self is not the physical garment anymore. So that means the fashion design process changes. Because the avatar is present in most often, as all of the other panel members have touched on, it's a gamified world. The digital world is gamified, and that's actually a positive way for us to go, a positive direction, because it means we can keep score. And you know, Richard and myself both being from coming from the UK, there's a cliche phrase which is points make prizes, or they should. So as you're keeping score in a game and you're expressing yourself increasingly in this gamified world, you will need styling for that. And the big takeaway I'd like to give to you guys, and I'd be very interested for you to take this idea and run with it, come back to us with thoughts on it. I think as Pakistan is very strong in the production of the real garments that people actually wear in the real world, why not do the same thing for the digital fashion products too? Because it will take games developers to clothe and make distinct our digital identities. You already have a great industry in textile and garments and fashion. So my kind of challenge and my question to all of you is, how do you run with that? How do you build on that? Because I would, for us as a kind of an action point, I'd like to extend an offer. Be in touch with us. We're working on this. The other panel members have referenced the fact of the matter, which is we are in a volatile moment, but this volatility represents a lot of opportunity. There is no, as you would say in fashion, if I mentioned Milan, Paris, London, New York, you all know what they mean in fashion. But Milan, Paris, London, New York don't mean the same thing in digital fashion. So there is an opportunity here in this emerging world. Our digital lives, our real lives are merging. Our virtual identities, our real identities are merging. And for you guys in the room and for your network, for your friends and peers, I think there's a real opportunity to connect with companies like ours internationally to develop how does this, well, for each of us on the panel, you can see you've got games developers, like representing game developers, you've got the creation and consumption of music, you have the gamification and how to receive and earn rewards with Richard's Howdoo, and in our case, it's fashion in the digital sphere, in the digital world. So I would encourage you all to think of it from your own personal point of view. Where do you fit into this future? Because this is, the panel today, you've got Elena from the Ukraine, you've got Siggy who's in his cabin in Iceland, in the middle of the wilderness there, and then you've got Richard in England, I'm here in Ireland. So it's a very cosmopolitan network. And again, the main point, and this, because we can talk in more detail about the technical aspects, but I think to keep it high level, because as Siggy mentioned in the intro, it's a very broad subject. To keep it high level, for it to be relevant to everybody, I think developing identities that can be synchronized in the digital and physical world is a very interesting challenge. As the other panel members, for example, Richard went into detail there about why people should be rewarded more for their digital life in kind of their hours that they spend in their digital life as they do in their normal physical life. So I don't really want to go into too many other things. I think the panel have done a good job of covering some interesting themes there. But again, my main point being, feel free, all of you, to reach out to any of us. For us, obviously, kind of a successful outcome of being in touch with yourselves is, we can look at Pakistan in the long run as a market. You've got the growing middle class there, as I know, as Richard knows from visiting too. But I would actually say, for me personally, and again through my experience in fashion and textile industry, more in the creative collaboration aspect, I think, collaborating with yourselves or bouncing ideas and trying to come up with new products or new ways of serving our users and delivering value to customers, because this again is kind of the binding theme amongst all of us. It's how do we measure and capture value in this new world? It's a really open subject, and it'll take skills like yours to create the products that resonate with those customers. And I think, bottom line, Pakistan, you're doing a great job with the garments, but the future is also in the digital world, and I think games developers such as yourselves have a big role to play. So maybe we can pass it back to you guys if there are any questions for any of us. And again, to emphasize once more, I'm sure our contacts will be shared, or at least you'll be able to find us on social media and so on. Keep in touch, and we do want to engage in this as a dialogue. So I'd like to pass it back, and if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? No? Okay. And as for your contacts, yes, we will share your contacts with all the participants. And I think after this talk, you can send your contacts to us and we will post them on our website along with the recording of this this session that we're having. So there's that.
Very good.
Yes, thank you so much for the participation, and in Pakistan, thank you so much for listening. I mean, this is the first time that they do this 4-way on Skype, and I think everyone did a fantastic job. We didn't prepare any slides, so we didn't prepare anything basically, and so we were just, this is more of an open talk, so we are more than ready to share some case studies, our experience, and just basically from a theoretical view of how we see the future of media from all of those sectors, basically. So like you hear, I mean, we have 4 really different people from really different industries. So from fashion, from finance to building gaming ecosystems. But we believe we are somewhat in the forefront of what the future of media might look like. That is, we believe the screen has to become the street. The digital has to become actual, and creativity and community have to meet. And that's basically the summary of the M-media concept. If it's, in our case, it's music media. In the Richard case, it's money media, or in Elena's case, it's mainstream media. It's just, we don't know what M-media is yet. And we are trying to collaborate with as many people as possible. And we believe the gaming industry is the key to implement game design, game theories, and all of those ideas into all of the other industries. So gamification, and that it can mean a lot of things. But we believe if we mix user interaction, lifestyle branding, and gamification together, then we have something special in our hands. And to achieve the dream, we have to go mainstream, in my opinion. So yeah, I think those are my end points.
All right. Thank you so much to all 4 of you.